Hello, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Is Robert Kiyosaki right about Bitcoin? Well, he's made a bold prediction that we are amidst a bull market coming soon, and he's also made a price prediction, so it'll be interesting to see whether these things come true. For those that don't know, Robert Kiyosaki is the author of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a financial literacy book. And he also predicted the 2008 financial crisis. So he definitely has a bit of credibility behind him, but that obviously doesn't mean that everything he predicts going forward is going to be correct. But let's get into this. I've got an article here about some of the things that he said. I'm not going to read the whole article because it's quite long, and there's just certain things that I just want to point on and discuss in the video. I am happy to put the link to the article in the description if anybody does want to read it in full. So he just says here in the subheading, Kiyosaki urges investors to buy more Bitcoin, gold and silver to be prepared for a quote crash landing ahead, unquote. So what he means in regards to the crash landing is obviously the current economic climate. He's one of the people who's basically he's not fond of what's going on with the US dollar, the way it's being printed into ridiculously high numbers, which is basically just devaluing the currency, which I absolutely agree with. There's only so many times you can keep printing the dollar to a point where it's just going to become valueless, basically. Because what happens is, to keep printing the dollar, it means inflation has to rise with it. And so what happens is your purchasing power over time is slowly going down. So you're actually losing value in the dollar the more they keep printing the currency. So I do absolutely agree with that. So let's get into the article and we can touch on some more things and see what we think about his prediction. So in a recent post on Twitter, Kiyosaki said the current crisis will prompt central banks to print more, quote, fake money, unquote, as a response. That's in regards to the current economic climate. In his view, the move will not erase the issue, but, quote, invade sick economy, unquote. He encouraged investors to purchase more Bitcoin, gold, and silver to overcome such a catastrophe. The most recent mass printing of fiat occurred shortly after COVID-19 outbreak. Back then, numerous central banking institutions, including the US Federal Reserve, stimulated the shuttered economy with trillions of freshly printed dollars. While the policy had its short-term positive effect, it, in brackets among other factors, created record inflation in many countries. Yeah, so obviously this is the thing. I think we're still kind of seeing now the after effects of COVID-19. Obviously, that did lead to stimulus checks being given. In the UK, there was furlough. So there was a lot of financial aid that were given to people during the pandemic. And, obviously that money's got to come from somewhere. It wasn't something that was predicted or prepared for. It was just something that come from out of nowhere. So, the reaction to it had to be very quick, but it wasn't something that was planned. So, of course, when you're doing this kind of thing and giving out that kind of money, there's going to be after effects, right? It may have seemed good at the time when people are getting just free money, but there's a cost for that kind of thing. And we're starting to see now, right? We're seeing the after effects of this now. And, again, as I was saying, I do agree in regards to the printing the money. It's an absolute problem. And I'll give you just a quick example. Let's say you're someone who's saving money. So with dollars, you're saving, let's just say you earn your salary and then you save $100 a month. Okay. Now let's just say your weekly shop at the time was just $50 and that is accounted for in your general salary and you still have $100 left over to save. Okay. Well, let's just say everything else in your salary is accounted for. So you just have that $50 to cover your weekly shop each week, and everything else, your money is accounted for, and then you save your $100. Well, with inflation, that means things are going up, right? So your weekly shop that was once $50 might now go up to $75. Now, let's say at that point in time, all your other money is accounted for. So how are you going to be able to pay for that? well, what's going to happen is that extra $25 that you're now spending is probably going to come out of your savings, right? So you're no longer saving $100. You've got to take $25 out of that to account for your new weekly shop, which means you're saving less, right? And this is how you see the knock-on effect, because the money that you were saving is also losing value over time. So even if you're just still saving the little bit that you have got, it's slowly losing value anyway. So even if you're still saving the $75, that $75 over time, it's not going to be able to buy you what it could buy at the time of when you were saving it. So let's say you keep saving $75 now, and you do that for, let's just say, 2-3 years. Well, in 2-3 years, that money saved, let's just say it saved you $2,000, just hypothetically. Well, that $2,000, what might have maybe brought you, just for example, I don't know, let's just say a car. Well, inflation may have gone up, and that $2,000 of that car, you might not be able to get the same car as what you wanted originally. That car may have gone up from $2,000 now to $5,000. So although you've saved the money, you've actually lost purchasing power, because you can't even get the same things that you could have got originally when you were saving the money. And over time, you're spending more money anyway, because everything's going up in general. Like I say, your weekly shop could go up, to $75, and within a year it could go up to $100. So then you're losing how much money you're actually saving as well. So it's just a knock-on effect. So I definitely agree with what Robert Kiyosaki is saying in that sense. Do I agree in terms of investing in Bitcoin, gold and silver? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that guarantees that it's a safe bet, but I think when you look at the dollar right now, the dollar's unstable. It is, the way it's being printed in mass. I wouldn't really say the dollar's actually a safe thing to stay in. It's just losing value over time. We're literally seeing it happen before our very eyes. So I'm not necessarily saying that Bitcoin, gold and silver is the guaranteed safe option, but would I say it's probably a safer option right now than the dollar? Potentially. I mean, Bitcoin is a lot more volatile, so it can depend with Bitcoin, because if you're in the midst of a bear market and you invested in at a much higher price point, then you're not going to want to sell, because you're going to be selling at a very big loss, right? So that can depend. But in gold and silver, that's a bit more stable. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that's a bad argument right now. Okay. So it is worth noting that the American, who was among the few to predict the 2008 financial collapse, recently forecasted another, quote, giant, unquote, market crash. In his view, the potential tumult could push Bitcoin's price towards 500,000 in the next 3 years, while the yellow metal could reach $5,000. Okay, so 500,000 in the next 3 years. Very bold prediction. The thing for me here is I'm not like an analyst or anything like that, so I'm just giving my opinion here. It's optimistic, but Bitcoin at one point was a few cents, and it reached $60,000. So do I think this is possible? I do. I actually do. I do think it's optimistic, I will say that, but I do think it's possible. I've seen Bitcoin go from highs to lows. I've seen the swings. So while I wouldn't maybe make my prediction so optimistic, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't really make a prediction just because I don't really feel like I have any kind of credibility to do so. If I was giving any kind of price prediction, I would just be guessing. I'm not a chart analyst or anything like that, so I'm not going to sit here and try and fool you guys into thinking I can make some realistic kind of price prediction. I would say I do think $500,000 is optimistic, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. I do think it has the potential. Okay, bull market on the horizon. Bitcoin's optimistic performance, in brackets on the background of the current monetary disturbance, caused some to argue that the crypto winter is over. Arthur Hayes, co-founder of BitMEX, asked his more than 340,000 followers on Twitter whether they are ready for a bull market. Several months ago, he opined that the negative trend in the cryptocurrency sector will change once Hong Kong and China open their arms to the industry. The Special Administrative Region has recently emerged as a blockchain hub, with Huobi applying for a trading license. Some media outlets hinted that Hong Kong's push towards crypto could have received quiet support from mainland China. Recall that all types of digital asset activities were banned in the world's most populous country in 2021. Okay, so I will just quickly make this edit here because I thought it was Robert Kiyosaki who said that it was a bull market. That was obviously Arthur Hayes who's obviously made that prediction, but we can still get into that. So the thing here is that he's saying ready for a bull market. He hasn't really gave any kind of time frame from what I can see. He's saying once Hong Kong and China open their arms to the industry. Well, how long will that take? You know, could that be 2 months away? Could that be a year away? Could that be 3 years away? So, you know, I can't really call that a prediction, to be completely honest, because, you know, there's no real time frame on that. If there was an expected thing where, you know, Hong Kong and China have said, yeah, we're going to do this crypto stuff within the next 6 months, then we could say, okay, following that kind of basis, he's saying within about the next 6 months, but he hasn't really given a clear time frame on this. So I don't really know how to really answer that, to be honest. There's not a real clear time frame given. So what I will just say is going by what do I think will happen this year. Okay, well, if we're going past time frames of bull markets, they're usually like a 4-year window. So it's like every 4 years you'll have a bull market. So it wouldn't seem that we would have one just yet. And if we do just look at the current economic climate, we are in a bad way, to be honest. There's no real positive outlook in sight right now. And things are just getting worse. Like, you know, we've seen the Silver Valley Bank collapse happen, which obviously, you know, that's just caused more turmoil now, and a lot of trust has been lost within the banking sector. But we've got the war going on with Russia and Ukraine. There's just a lot of things at the moment where the future just looks kind of bleak at the moment financially. So I'm not so sure that we'll see any kind of bull market this year, personally. I would think they'd need a lot of catalysts to turn the sentiment into a positive. And we are just seeing a financial crisis right now in terms of, you know, the spending that's going on. Everything is just highly inflated. Everything is just ridiculously priced, and people having to, you know, really be careful with how they're spending their money to survive right now. You know, inflation is soaring, and I don't see at the moment this slowing down just yet. I do think over time it will happen, but it doesn't look like it's happening just yet. So yeah, in terms of a bull market this year, for me, in my personal opinion, I don't really think that's going to happen. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on this. I mean, I'll, you know, definitely keep my eye on the Hong Kong and China in regards to any kind of crypto stuff that they may be doing or embracing, to see if that does, you know, bring along a bull market. So definitely interesting stuff to see. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with what Robert Kiyosaki has said? Do you agree with what Arthur Hayes says? Do you think a bull market's coming? Do you think Bitcoin is the best investment to be in right now? Or do you think there's other things that you could be invested in that may be better? Do you think stocks may be the better option? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.